This is success tip number 6 about how to have a more effective daily method of operation. And you want to make sure, if you're in the sales business, you are following up with a couple of people every day. I mentioned that on one of the earlier sales tips. But a next step up is having 2 to 3 three-way conference calls every single day. If you want to be really successful, very profitable, I mean that's your goal, then you have to follow best practices. And best practices is you're not the one trying to sell the other person, convince the other person to join. It's my point against your point. Here's my reason why you should join. Here's your reason why you're not sure. Here's my reason why you should join. Here's your reason why I don't want to join. That ends up becoming an energy drain. The most successful people do three-way calls, and they do 2 or 3 of them every single day. Better if you can do more, but anybody can do 2 or 3. So talk to somebody you've recently exposed your business to, introduce them to the story, and say, hey, I'd like to introduce you to some other successful people that are using this strategy. I'd like to introduce you to some other leaders that will help train you. I'd like to introduce you to some other people getting great results on the product so you can ask them some questions. I'd like to introduce you to one of the fastest growing people in the area, and let's find out what they're doing so we can mentor that together. Or I would like to talk to 2 or 3 of the people you're talking to. Introduce me to 2 or 3 people on your team. If you're a leader and you have more than 20 people on your team, 50 people on your team, then you should be doing at least 2 to 3 three-way calls every day with people in your downline. You should be calling them and say, hey, you're a leader. Why don't you introduce me to 3 of your best teammates? Let's get to know each other. If you're not, you're missing out on leadership. You need to step it up. You need to call your downline. You need to ask them to introduce you to 3 or 4 key people. Get to know them from a relationship standpoint. Find out about their goals, their direction, their time, and then help them do 2 or 3 phone calls a day. Again, best practices, introduce it to a couple people a day. Best practices, following up with a couple people a day. Best practices, doing 2 or 3 three-way calls a day. Why? Because there's a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of creative ideas that come out of collaborating with other successful people. I look forward to seeing your results in the near future.